Usually when we think about cause and effect, uh, we imagine a very neat linear chain of events.
Right, like knocking over a line of dominoes.
Exactly. You push the first one, it hits the second hits the third.
It's perfectly logical. I mean, it is entirely predictable.
Yeah, you drop a pebble in a pond, and you just watch the ripples move outward in these perfect little circles.
And that makes sense to our brains. We build our entire understanding of reality, our daily routines, and, well, even our justice systems on that kind of predictable local physics.
Right, action here means a reaction right next to it.
Exactly.
But then imagine you drop a pebble, and half a world away, a mountain collapses.
Oh, wow.
Or a star explodes. Or a dynasty falls.
Which sounds like science fiction, but that is the literal physical reality proposed by the text we are unpacking today.
Yes, welcome to today's deep dive. Our mission today is to unpack a seriously dense, deeply philosophical, and just mind-bending text called Sven Preaching Tao.
And this source material, it completely shatters our neat little domino chain of cause and effect. I mean, it operates on a scale that is genuinely difficult to wrap your head around.
To even get a foothold in this text, we have to look at how it defines its core engine, right? The Tao.
Right, because in this specific material, Tao isn't just, a metaphor for living a good life.
No, not at all.
It is explicitly described as the consciousness of the greatest creator. It's the literal lifeblood of the universe.
The ultimate driving force behind all things.
Exactly, behind the movement, the formation, the transformation of absolutely everything.
And the text lays out that this Tao has 8 distinct characteristics. It mentions things like eternal reliability and instantaneous sensitivity.
But we are going to focus the entirety of this deep dive on unpacking just the very first characteristics.
Yes, it's called holographic order. And I promise you, by the time we are done exploring the mechanics of what holographic order actually is, it is going to totally shift how you view your own everyday place in the universe.
The sheer scale of it is staggering. To even grasp it, we really have to first understand the text's radical definition of universal interconnectedness.
Right.
In this framework, the universe isn't just a collection of separate objects floating around in empty dead space. It is framed as a single, living, breathing entity.
Where absolutely everything is intertwined.
Everything. And I don't mean just a local ecosystem like a forest. I mean across vast, unfathomable stretches of physical space and deep time.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the source material doesn't just say everything is connected to sound poetic. It provides these incredibly vivid, honestly shocking examples.
They really are.
It says that the activity of a tiny ant on the ground is directly related to an elephant drinking water on a completely different continent.
Right. Or the fluttering of a butterfly's wings in Alaska.
Yeah, that it's mathematically connected to a raging storm at the Cape of Good Hope.
It even claims that a rolling stone on the surface of the moon is linked to an earthquake happening right here on Earth.
Which is just, notice how those examples intentionally stretch across the physical macro and micro.
But the text pushes this interconnectedness way beyond physical geography. It moves it deep into time.
This was the part that really got me.
It completely challenges how we perceive our own personal history. For instance, the text posits that a cough you have today is linked to an insect you swallowed 10 years ago.
Wait, really? An insect from a decade ago. That one made me stop and reread the page.
And it gets wilder. It says your current back pain could be related to a mouse that was killed 500 years ago.
500 years.
Or that a grandson suffering today is intimately connected to his ancestors digging a mountain 3,000 years ago.
That is just, the timeline is totally irrelevant to the Tao.
Because in a holographic universe, every piece contains the whole, and the whole is entirely present in every single piece.
Wow. And the source also brings in these profound historical and philosophical connections, too. It shows this isn't just about physical ailments.
Right, like the examples with historical figures.
Yeah, it states that a single sentence spoken by Jesus or Buddha 2,000 years ago is actively affecting someone's specific behavior today.
Or how it links Darwin's theory of evolution directly to people losing their belief in the greatest creator.
It's almost too much to hold in your head at once. Like, when I was reading this, I kept trying to visualize it. And initially, I pictured the universe as this infinitely massive woven rug.
Oh, that's an interesting way to look at it.
Yeah, like you pull a microscopic thread on the bottom left corner, and it warps the pattern on the completely opposite end a mile away. But honestly, a rug feels too static for this. Is this just the famous butterfly effect taken to an absolute extreme?
Well, it shares DNA with the butterfly effect, sure, but it elevates it from, like, a mathematical theory of chaos into a spiritual and cosmic law.
Okay, so all law.
Yeah. Your rug analogy captures the interconnectedness, but let's upgrade it to explain the actual mechanism. It's more like being a spider on a web the size of a galaxy.
Oh, I like that.
You don't need to actually see the fly land a million miles away, right? You instantly feel the exact mathematical vibration of it through the silk beneath your feet.
Because it's all one structure.
Exactly. The source material emphasizes that hearts and spirits resonate across heaven and earth in this exact vibratory way. It's entirely inclusive. It links humans, animals, plants, insects, and even ghosts. Everything is vibrating on that same massive web.
But, okay, if everything is this deeply, relentlessly vibrating together, if a mosquito biting my toe is directly linked to me losing my temper, or a distant planet exploding is linked to me sneezing, that sounds incredibly chaotic.
It does sound like a lot.
It sounds like living inside a cosmic blender where you just have zero agency.
And that is a fundamental misinterpretation that the text explicitly warns against. Holography is not chaos.
It's not.
No, chaos is disordered. Chaos implies randomness and a lack of purpose. Holography, on the other hand, is profoundly, mathematically, spiritually orderly. It is the ultimate expression of order.
Okay, let's drill into that, because the text describes this holographic order as forming an invisible divine net.
Right, the divine net.
And there was a specific quote from the source that, frankly, gave me chills. It says, "Divine punishments, though slow, are always sure, with big meshes, yet letting nothing slip through."
It is a really striking image. The divine net implies that every single word you speak, every action you take, and crucially, even every silent thought you have in the privacy of your own mind.
Even your thoughts.
Yes, even your thoughts leave a permanent vibratory imprint in the universe. Nothing is lost. Nothing is truly secret.
Wow.
The text argues that when the time is ripe, those vibrations inevitably return as consequences.
And the text explains that our inability to see this net is exactly why people suffer so much psychological dread.
Oh, absolutely.
It points out that when we feel anxious, or when we suffer, or when we look around and think life is just cruel and inexplicable, it's simply because our perspective is too incredibly small.
We cannot see the vast holographic order at play. We just see the bad thing happening to us locally.
Exactly. We don't realize we are caught in this net where the source says absolutely nothing. Not gods, not Buddhas, not demons, mortals, or monsters can escape or hide.
We experience a sudden storm and call it bad luck. Or we blame the person standing next to us. We feel helpless because we are blind to the machinery.
We can't see how our own silent resentments from yesterday or an ancestor's actions 500 years ago interacted dynamically to create this weather.
Right? Interacting with 1,000 other variables to create the exact weather of our lives today.
Here's where it gets really interesting, but also, well, a bit terrifying. I have to push back on the emotional weight of this.
Okay, go for it.
Because if I am walking around every single day, knowing I am inside a divine net where every stray negative thought I have is recorded and will eventually come back to punish me, that feels like being under ultimate 24/7 cosmic surveillance.
It sounds heavy.
It sounds like a dictatorship of physics. How is someone supposed to just live naturally, go get a coffee, go to work, at please the kind of immense suffocating pressure?
Well, it feels suffocating if you look at it through the lens of human morality. Like there's a warden in the sky just waiting for you to mess up.
Right.
But the text argues the Tao doesn't judge. It calculates. It's a perfect mirror. The source states, as I expand, so does Tao. As I become complex, so does Tao. As I become simple, so does Tao.
Wait, let me stop you there.
Yeah.
As I become simple, so does Tao. Does that mean if I am feeling totally overwhelmed by the universe, feeling like everything is chaotic and out to get me, that is actually just a projection of my own internal clutter?
Yes.
So the universe isn't chaotic. I am.
That is the exact mechanism.
Yeah.
If your internal state is a mess of conflicting desires, anxieties, and complicated schemes, the holographic feedback you receive from the divine net will reflect that exact complexity back to you.
Oh, wow.
It will feel like a trap. But if you simplify your desires, if you quiet your thoughts, the Tao mirrors that simplicity. You stop struggling against the silk of the web, and suddenly the web stops feeling like a restraint.
Okay, but just how complex is this web? Because the text doesn't just stick to philosophical poetry. It dives into the literal, mind-boggling mechanics and dimensions of this universe.
Yeah, it gets very specific.
It gives us hard numbers.
It does. To illustrate why this holographic order is so impossible for the average human intellect to fully grasp, the source breaks down the architecture.
Right.
It states that this order contains 36 8 diagram arrays, 36-dimensional spaces, 20 parallel worlds, and 64 basic factors.
I mean, we struggle to navigate just 3 dimensions in one world. What do those 64 basic factors actually do?
Well, the text explains that these 64 basic factors constantly cross, combine, and error correct into what it calls astronomical numbers.
Hold on, error corrects, like software finding a bug.
Sort of, yeah.
But how does a perfect, divinely ordered universe correct a mistake? If everything is already perfectly ordered, there shouldn't be any errors to fix.
Right. It's a great distinction to make. It's not fixing a mistake in the human sense. Think of it as balancing an incredibly complex equation. Okay.
If you disrupt the frequency, say, by introducing a massive amount of sudden negative complexity into your life, the system mathematically shifts. It absorbs, distributes, and neutralizes that disruption across the entire web.
Oh, I see.
The error correction is the universe adjusting its variables across those 36 dimensions and 20 parallel worlds to maintain the ultimate total sum of order.
So it's constantly rebalancing the scales,
No.
but doing it using a level of combinatorial complexity that is entirely beyond human intelligence to comprehend. Our brains simply do not have the hardware to process the math of the Tao.
We don't. And that unfathomable math guarantees absolute uniqueness for every single entity.
That actually leads to a really beautiful point the text makes about individuality. Because of this unimaginably vast mathematical system, every single person has an entirely unique path.
Completely unique.
The source material points out that even if two people are 99.99% similar, say they are identical twins, raised the exact same way, with the exact same genetic.
That tiny 0.01% difference in their frequency is enough to create a gap of 1,000 miles in their cosmic journey.
Because in a system actively utilizing 36 dimensions and 20 parallel worlds to balance its equations, replication is just impossible. You are a completely unique intersection of those 64 basic factors.
It's like having a cosmic fingerprint. You literally can never be anyone else, and no one else can ever play your specific game.
Exactly.
You are the only one who can walk your path, because the exact mathematical combination that created you in this specific moment will never exist again.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this immense mathematical reality is exactly why the text brings in a famous quote from Laozi.
Oh, yeah.
He said that those skilled in the Tao are subtle, mysterious, profound, and penetrating, so deep that they cannot be understood. You cannot understand the Tao by trying to calculate it. The spreadsheet is just too big.
But if the math is too big,
Yeah.
and we are caught in a web where a mouse from 500 years ago is currently giving us a backache, how does a person actually achieve peace? How do you find any kind of freedom within a system this absolute and terrifyingly complex?
It is the ultimate paradox of the source material. It boldly states that if you think you completely understand the holography of Tao, you prove that you actually don't.
Oh, interesting.
The human intellect is simply the wrong tool for the job.
So you cannot think your way into enlightenment here.
No, trying to intellectualize it just adds more complexity to your internal state, which the Tao then mirrors back at you as more confusion.
So what's the alternative?
The only way to glimpse what the text calls true insight is to do the exact opposite of trying to control or calculate it. You have to dissolve yourself into nothingness.
Nothingness.
You have to enter a void that the source describes as faint, vague, dim, obscure.
And the text gives us a brutal test to know if someone has actually achieved this state of nothingness.
It is pretty intense.
It says you've reached this understanding if you can exhibit extreme calmness in the face of absolute disaster. It says you should be able to watch Mount Tai collapse right in front of you without blinking an eye.
Right.
You should be able to smile slightly with a knife at your throat. You should be able to face the ruin of your family or the arrival of your own death without your expression changing or your mind breaking.
I mean, it sounds sociopathic at first glance, doesn't it?
It really does.
To feel nothing when your family is ruined or a mountain falls. But within the specific mechanics of the holographic order, it is not apathy. It is profound, absolute trust in the math.
Just did the math.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is the realization that the collapse of the mountain, the knife, the ruin, they are all perfect, mathematically precise movements of the 36-dimensional divine net.
So achieving this celestial state, as the text calls it, doesn't necessarily mean you're a superhero dodging avalanches on Mount Tai.
No, probably not.
For you, listening to this, it means when you suddenly lose your job or your flight is canceled and you miss a crucial meeting, You don't waste your energy screaming at the metaphorical mosquito.
Exactly.
You recognize the lost job or the canceled flight as a required movement of the net, an error correction of the universe,
Yeah.
and you just adapt.
You don't fight the web. Even if the Earth shatters and the universe inverts in the next second, you remain relaxed because you know it is all in perfectly balanced order. You are no longer demanding that the universe conform to your tiny, localized expectations.
And the imagery the text uses to describe this final state is so wild, especially after all this heavy talk of divine punishments and 36
It
dimensions.
completely shifts gears.
It says that once you reach this state, the sky is intensely blue, paths are open, and there is nothing left to do but enjoy leisure and play. Death ceases to exist.
That is a transition from what the text calls the kingdom of necessity to the kingdom of freedom.
The kingdom of freedom.
Yeah. In the kingdom of necessity, you are fighting the net. You are a victim of what you perceive as random chaos. You are getting tangled up, causing yourself anxiety, projecting complexity, and suffering because you refuse to accept the vastness of the math.
You are the person furious about the ant, completely unaware of the elephant it's connected to.
Exactly. But when you fully accept and move with the holographic characteristic of Tao, you stop fighting the current. You dissolve your rigid, demanding sense of ego.
Right.
And when you stop fighting the net, it stops being a net. It becomes a playground. You enter the kingdom of freedom where you are perfectly aligned with the vibration of the universe, and therefore you are perfectly free to just experience it.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? It's such a brilliant juxtaposition. We go from a heavy, inescapable net of consequences directly into playtime.
It is quite the shift.
But it makes complete sense within the logic of the source. If the universe is doing all the driving, and it knows exactly where it's going across 20 parallel worlds, you might as well just look out the window and enjoy the ride.
You let the Tao be the tower. You stop trying to be the engineer of the universe and simply become a conscious, peaceful participant in the holography.
Wow. Let's wrap our heads around the journey we've just taken through Sufeng preaching Tao today.
It's been a big one.
We started by looking at a universe where cause and effect are blown up to literal cosmic proportions, where the butterfly effect connects a 500-year-old mouse to your modern-day backache and an ancient mountain excavation to your current everyday struggles.
We explored the deeply unsettling but profoundly beautiful idea of the inescapable divine net, a perfectly orderly system operating across 36 dimensions and 20 parallel worlds, tracking and balancing every single thought and action.
Right. And we saw how trying to outsmart, outcalculate, or intellectualize this vast system only leads to profound anxiety and a feeling of being trapped in the kingdom of necessity.
And finally, we unpacked the source's radical, paradoxical solution. To achieve true freedom, one must surrender entirely, dissolve into nothingness, and find a state of unshakable calm and trust, even if your personal world feels like it is ending right in front of you.
It is a philosophy that demands we completely reevaluate our definition of chaos, our understanding of personal responsibility, and our desperate illusion of control.
Truly.
And as we leave you today, thinking about pebbles dropping into ponds and the massive invisible ripples they create across time and space, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over, drawn from the deepest implications of this source material.
We talked heavily about the sheer scale of this interconnectedness, how humans, animals, plants, and even ghosts are all vibrating on this massive web.
Which means, if the universe is truly a living entity where our smallest daily actions and even our silent thoughts ripple out into 20 parallel worlds and 36 dimensions to affect the entire cosmic web,
Then perhaps the greatest illusion we face every day isn't chaos, but the illusion that any of us are ever truly alone.